Hello. Welcome to the stream. Let me mute this. This is the third edition of this live stream, WatchRemark session. We are going to pick up a bit later than the session last time. We are going to work on the logging system for CockroachDB. Last time I was explaining how to define a configuration language for the new mapping of configuration options to logging channels. And I was struggling a little bit with parsing the options. And I came a bit further this time. And so we are going to fix a small bug that is remaining. I don't know yet exactly where this bug is, but we're going to fix that out. And then we are going to try connecting those bits together and figure out if the command line handling can actually be connected to the command interface of CockroachDB so that we actually can configure the process this way. I have some optimism that this is going to work fine within the time we have, but as always, there might be surprises on the way, and so we might have to pick up that again up next week. I have not yet completely made up my mind whether I want to make another stream each week or whether once weekly is sufficient. The truth is that I like the continuity and I would like to work on this project a bit more often so that it gets completed faster. And I have also been told / requested to maybe extend this concept with a session where I would be answering viewer questions and perhaps have a more conversational interaction. I hope to start having some clear vision about this in the next few weeks. So stay tuned. You can make also suggestions. What would you like to see? What would you like to know that might not be covered by the programming activity? And if there are any things about my techniques or maybe background that I could be talking about in addition to programming, I will welcome that. So that's that. So to recap, we are going to look again at this configuration system. I have fixed many bugs from last time. I have extended it to support a lot of the options we wanted to support. And now we want to iron out the last few bugs and then move forward with connecting everything together. So what happened since last time? We have those data structures that describe the configuration options. And what I explained last time is that we implemented the parsing codes that the name of the variables, of the fields in the structure are also the name of the configuration options automatically. And the code can override this by using a data structure tag, so as here, for example. The code to do this has been extended and it works kind of nice. I also wanted to have a custom data type for sizes that the user can enter values with a unit suffix. Like for example, we can see on the right here, I want to be able to enter megabytes, and so I need to parse those bytes. I just wonder if parse byte is able to handle values that don't have a unit next to it. So for this, I'm going to quickly peek at another place in the source code where things are happening this way. Apparently parse byte is largely able to do this. So this code here is able to handle signed version of the fields, but byte sizes in the logging system are unsigned, so I don't need all this complexity. And that's that. Now, I have made the fix for the other data types. The program is now able, the code is now able to support also symbolic values for data types that are not exactly integers, that have been overwritten. For example, the severity level is an integer, but it has a string representation, so the code is able to recognize that automatically now. But we are going to make this max file size work. I want to be able to enter the name of the field using the log flag name tag here. And if I run this test here, I see that I get an error message. So the configuration parser is telling me that the option called max file size is not recognized. But it's absolutely here. So what's going on here? We are going to figure that out. So the code to do this is in this area here. We are looking at a function called find field, that is supposed to look at all the fields in a struct. And if a field has a log flag name like this, which is a condition I'm looking for, then I'm supposed to find it this way. By the way, if there is a log flag name, that must match. So I don't want to use this condition here. So actually there is a bug. So we're going to do this. All right. So if first flag name is, and where's this one? And the first flag name is not empty, then we want the flag name to match. And otherwise, we only want to see the struct name. And then we have this. Now, what this is telling me, so the first case here is this is when we have an embedded struct. So this special case here is a recursive call, so that if the field is coming from an embedded struct, we recurse on it. But I'm not in that case here. The max file size is actually on the outer struct, so I'm in this case here. And so if I have a log flag name tag, I want to find it. And unfortunately, my tests is telling me that code is not seeing it. What's going on? So there are multiple situations I can imagine. So number one, maybe my condition here is invalid. Maybe the tag is not configured here. Maybe the condition is fine, but I have some other code structures that control structures that will show me. So actually here I will be very blunt and will just say let's look at the structure of the field type. What does it say? And now we see this excellent thing here. So we see it's scanning all the fields, and it's not finding it. So that explains. So what I'm seeing here is that the parse configuration is only seeing the basic fields from the find field structure. Oh, here we are. I made a mistake. Look at this. If it's anonymous, return. But I want to iterate through all the fields. I don't want to stop at the first anonymous field. So that's not great. So I am going to try it with this way. If field value, field type is this, and the error is nil, Otherwise, and then we're good, probably. That seems right, right? So now it will see these flags. And there is a tag called max file size here. And now we have it. It worked. So here is the bug fix. So remember, the second column is the result of pretty-printing the configuration option after completing the parse. And now I have it. So my configuration system is about right. The parsing has succeeded. I have a couple of comments already in the code. I'm going to add the missing comments here. Implement the FMT formatter. FMT formatter is the interface that allows something to to display itself via the FMT methods. Let's reuse. 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 Now, generic sync option. What does this do? It displays, say, current value of the fields inside C as a comma-separated list of configuration settings suitable for the local browser. And no mistake here. Get field name retrieves the configured name for a configuration option. Parse configuration analyzes a comma-separated list of config options. That is not the case, is it not? Analyzes a single configuration line. Then we have this one. Parses a comma-separated list of configuration settings for this basic configuration. To initializes the configuration. All right. Sync option parses a single key value configuration setting for sync. And this is the magic logic that recognizes all the field types. Get set method retrieves a reference on a field's set method if it is defined. Find field corresponding to the configuration key. Writing documentation for methods is pretty important. So the very minimum is to have documentation in front of each method. But as soon as a function or method contains multiple parts that are a bit irregular in structure, like here we have a loop, and this one is obviously iterating over all the fields, but then what is this thing here? And so a little comment here reminds the reader what we're talking about. So for example, common sync options. And then this debugs printf I don't need anymore. And then this special case, well, if you have a force flag name, the name of the variable force flag name reminds us what the variable is about. But this else branch, what does it mean to not have a log flag name? Well, in that case, and that's what the comment is explaining. And I said only if the structure is a bit complex. So for example, here we have a longer function as well, and that will do a few things. So the irregular things will be explained with comments. But then here we have a big switch statement with a lot of cases. But because all these cases are more or less doing the same thing, then it's very regular. And if there is regularity, then the understanding of one of the branches is sufficient to get an understanding of the other branches. So if either of the branches is simple enough, then the entire thing is simple enough. And that's why in this particular case, I did not deem it necessary to have detailed documentation. All right. So here we are. We have this configuration system that is able to produce config directives. Now, what I'm doing here is creating a configuration system that is not what's called exported. And so I am going to fix this by exporting it, because I want this to be connected to our command line handling. So I can do this in two ways. Either I can export it and then do the parsing of the command line in a different package, or I can make the command line handling in this package. But in any case, afterwards, I will need to access the config options from the logging package where they are consumed. So I think I have no choice but to export it. So I will say config represents an entire configuration as a list of directives. Config directive maps, and then we have things like this, and then sync configuration and channel spec is a selection of channels. Sync is configuration. The process of exporting an interface through a package is regular. It's about creating a lot of documentation. Go force this documentation to exist on exported packages. So that's what we're doing now. Now my linter is also telling me something. The type name will be used as config.config directive by other packages that stutters. Doesn't like it. Well, I am okay with this truth. Let's rename all this config directive into directive. There we go. Okay, does that stutter? Not anymore. Channel spec selects one or more channels. I want a channel spec, thank you. And I can not export this method, that's fine. Sync configuration. So sync configuration needs to become a sync configuration. Okay. Then I have this, and then I have that. Then this directive is now short. All channels denoted blah blah blah. All right. And then we have channel list. There must be a way in Emacs to automatically capitalize identifiers. I don't remember how to do this. Maybe I never learned. Config, all channels, channel list. All right. This is now capitalize. Sync, this is sync. Thank you. What else do we have? Here, it's the channel spec. What else do we have? Well, of course, this wants to be a config. And then it's just directive. Thank you. All channels is all channels. Channel lists is channel lists. And what am I missing again? Well, that seems to be fine. Yes. All right. I have exported my config, except the parse function. So the parse function is not exported yet, and we're going to do this now. So it's kind of it's going to be a bit of a question what I want to do with this package. Do I want to keep it a separate package? If you remember, what we had originally is a need to have this code in a different package because it was making our compilation time shorter. Does that seem right? I think full. Yeah. No. Short. All. It's called all. There we go. So now we have a documentation. So byte size is missing documentation. So where's byte size? Config options. Oh, I need to export those too. File sync config represents the configuration for a file logger. So here, eventually, in the future, we'll probably get a configuration for network loggers. Sets initializes the value from the string for use by configuration. All right. And then it has this method. What is the name of the interface that I created? I think it's called sync configuration. Yeah. There we go. Represents the configuration. I can type for a logger to see process DDR string. Cool. Typo. Yeah. Oh, now we're talking. This is stdr file config, and now the test is not happy. I'm okay. I make peace with needing to change things. So it's not exactly, well, it's not something that's super common to have to go through the steps of exporting a package when it was not exported to start with. I could have seen that coming, in which case I could have decided to start doing so. Why did it autocomplete? And then I wouldn't be doing this now. But I wasn't entirely yet completely convinced about what was needed when I started. And so this is why I find myself in the need of exporting this package now. Okay, now we have a package and it has documentation. And having documentation is great. Documentation is always good. It is missing a high-level explanation of what is happening. And this happens by having a special comment at the top of the file. So this particular comment I put here to become a package level comment needs to be put here. And that's where GoDoc will include it at the top. I would have hoped, well, except it doesn't. I don't remember how this works. I do remember, so that this needs to go in a file called doc.go. So let's use this. And then where does it need to go in the doc.go? I never remembered this. What does the others do? So I take one. And it says package keys manages blah, blah, blah. Oh, it needs to be immediately on the line before without a white space. That is what it is. Yeah, does that work? Yeah, look at this. Package, yeah. And then there's another magic thing, which is that Go has the notion of pre-formatted code examples. And so what does it say? Package keys, I see. Package config manages the configuration of the logging channels and their logging syncs. Cool. I am about done. And now what we do is, no, that is not the right file. Excuse me, go away. I want files that we already have a license for somewhere, for example, this one. And then we are going to ensure that all these files here have a license. Except that we're not in 2014, we're in 2020 still. Oh my gosh, I wish this here is finished already. There we go. All right. Config options, .go, and then the two files here are going to CI. Yeah, does that look right? Oh, this one is missing. It's license text. Thank you. There we go. I haven't yet completely made up my mind about how much documentation goes in this file and how much documentation needs to go to the RFC. I will visit the topic of configuration a bit later. We don't need to do that in stream. What I do want to get done, though, is a bit more connecting of this to the actual channel configuration. So we're going to do that. Now, the outcome of this work was to have a parse function that is able to produce directives. And then we can connect those things together. So how do we do this? There is a package called log flags, which is there to handle the parsing of the command line for logging. So there is something a bit strange about this package, log flags. It is conspicuously distinct from another package we have, which is called flags, well, CLI flags, which we use for all the other command line flag handling for CockroachDB. So the CLI flag handling CockroachDB uses a dependency called Cobra and another one called pflags. They interact together, and we're very happy about those, and they have many features we like. And then if you look at the logging package log flags and the handling of command line flags for the logging package on the right here, this is not using Cobra, this is not using pflag. And instead it does its own thing, separate. And the thing on the left calls the thing on the right as a sub-procedure. So there is here some logic in the madness. The reason why the logging thing does its own thing is because the logging flags are also recognized during the command line, handling of testing. So during unit tests are being run using a separate command line handling provided by the Go test system, and it has its own command line flags that doesn't hook into the CockroachDB command line flags at all. However, many of our tests use logging, and we do like the ability to customize certain logging options in unit tests. In particular, we like to configure whether to log things to standard error, and we like to configure the vmodule setting in tests. We don't actually like the other flags, so arguably the other flags here are probably not well placed in that common to everything log package. But that's, well, they've been there historically. So I could consider not recognizing them further, but I just want to explain why there is a difference between the two. Now I'm thinking, do I want to have my new configuration system in that common package that also using unit tests, or do I only want when parsing the command line from CockroachDB? Probably the latter. The reason is that logging channels are not going to be used in unit tests in the common case. And in the very few unit tests that do want to use logging channels, it is actually okay to require the test to call the parsing function explicitly. So I am vaguely considering supporting the command line handling for the configuration options, not in this file. But what we do want, though, is to recognize something called flag.value, which is an interface, because we want the ability to hook into the flag system for testing separate from the CockroachDB CLI thing. So we are going to make our config package able to construct an object to represent the var handling. So what does flag set here give us? Do we have anything that looks like a slice, like an array of flags? I would believe that var is sufficient. And so if I have a var and it is passed multiple times, then we can append values to it. So we are going to try that. Can we create in our configuration system a thing that implements a configurable thing, a configurable option? And I think that the config option might do this. Does it actually? Okay, so what I'm thinking about here is the following. So flag handling in Go is a bit odd. It creates a different universe for every single flag on the command line. So what I want in the end is to have the ability to say cockroach like this, and then log some config, and then another time, and then another time. I could be doing this. And then if I make a function that converts the string on the right to a directive, and then I recognize the fact that there are multiple things on the command line as the directive to add to a list, then it will probably work fine. Except that if I then subsequently ask the subsystem, the logging subsystem, to show me on the screen a representation of, say, configuration, then it might get confused and then print out all the configs separated by space after a single log parameter. So I don't know exactly yet what the best is, but because of all these kind of questions, what I'm going to do, I'm going to write a test. It's always the same with things that are a bit complicated. Write a test and then make an opinion based on the test. So we have here a test package for the logging flag, and I am going to, that is not the right package, excuse me. Where is my thing here? Oh, there is no testing for that one. Isn't that perfect? So now we need to make some testing happen. Test flag handling. Because once that works, then we are going to be very happy about this, because that is when we can start plugging everything together. So how does the pflag interface work? We need to have a parse. Yeah, flag set. So we need a flag set. So how does a flag set work? We need to make it. And the flag set is added by flag set. We have maybe a default flag set. I don't know yet. Flag set. How do you make a flag set? Oh, I just make it. Oh, well, isn't that magical? Let's start flag set. So flag set. And then I'm going to add a var flag. How does this work? I want to have a var. A var is a generic type for things that have a method to set it. So var, and I'm going to say config. It's going to be like this, and maybe like this, because it's a slice type, so I can't implement it by reference. And I'm going to call it log, and logging directives. And I'm going to parse this. Parse. Star, audit, dev, nice file size, and then it's parsed. And then after it's parsed, Parse, does that give me an error? Yes, look at this. Fatal. And if I have my configuration, I can print it. And I can print it by this. Expected. Why make it complicated when I can do this? Just use our magical recorder package. So let's say, cannot use C of type config as type flag.value. I know this to be true, and the reason is that I have not yet implemented the set method on the config type. And it's called C here. And now we're going to do this. And the config, the set type is going to be defined here. Config. Set implements the flag.value interface. Func. Oh, I really want to implement this by reference. I think I do want that. Value, and it takes an error. And then we're going to say parse configuration B, and that gives me a directive. And I have a directive, and I want to see is append. But is that good? Cannot use this type. Is that going to be good enough? I fear not, because I'm appending to something that is provided by value, to the set method, and then it's oh my, yeah. No need here. I can't program. Parse configuration gives me a directive by reference, and I want a directive by value. And it tells me missing string methods now. I can make peace with that. No string method. Cool. That's okay. I want a file, and I want a file. So this is not good. So my parsing has succeeded, but you see we have here an expectation of nothing, and the result of printing the configuration is nothing. That means that the parsing code has recognized our function here, but hasn't changed anything. And that's because we probably really want to have implemented this by reference, but unfortunately I am afraid that I cannot take the address of a slice and pass it as an interface. That would really surprise me if that was possible. So let's try this. If I take this like this. Oh, it works. Okay, I learned something today. Go is able to define methods on custom types that are implemented using a slice. This is great. This is perfection. Yes, no new line character. Cool. So now we are able to connect a log config object to the command line using the flag.flagz. And that is great because That means that I can now connect my login configuration in the CLI package. And we're going to do this now. Log, where is the logging flag? Here. So this is a persistent flags. Mark in the flag package, and we are going to start CMDs. Do I have another one? This one here. So we want to add the flag to all the start commands. So start commands, look here. So logging flags. So let's do logging flags. Starts. Cool. Starts. We are going to add our config here. Config from it's not going to be the one I want here. Absolutely not. I should probably call my package log config, right? Yeah, people are going to complain at me if I don't do this. It's going to be log config.config. Let's call it log config. Otherwise, people are going to be unhappy. Log git nv config log config. And here we need to do perl package config package log config. Did that work? Yeah, of course. Of course. All this configuration here is not there anymore because it's now here. Log config. I need to check whether my package here is. Yes, there we go. Okay. Okay. Context. We were here in log config. Config. Config.config. Log config. Like this. Did that work? There we go. The default configuration is going to be defined as something is nil. It's going to be empty initially. We're going to recognize the case where it's not being set, so in a separate place. And now here, we're going to have a var flag at say start ctx.log config and clear flags.log flag .log. Probably it's good enough. So don't ask me why, but this file tends to not be ordered alphabetically. So configure set some logging configuration points. I'll see the documentation for details. This is a cop-out. This needs to be actually spelled out, but suppose, for example, that I forget to update this later on, then the user who sees this can actually go and search online. I'm not planning to leave it there, but this is like preventing user surprise if I actually forget later. Let's try this. Let's see, does it build? I do believe it does. We're going to check. Mm-hmm. I need to see what's going on here. It failed. Better if I don't forget a character. Still. I like this. Okay, so what's going on here is that we are now using a method using var p from the pflag package. And the pflag.value is a larger interface than the flag type for the Go flag package. So we are going to extend our config type and we're going to say login configuration. I don't remember if I can use strings in there, but I am optimistic. I think I can. And now we can try it. Let's see. Okay. So the other flags here are going to be superseded by the log configuration option. And because they are superseded, I'm going to deprecate them. And deprecate means that we are continuing to recognize them, but we don't want them to be displayed here anymore because they're overwhelming and so on and so on. And so even though we keep them in the parsing code, we're going to mark them as invisible. And we do this as follows. Here we have this logic that is taking over all the logging flags into our system, and we are going to have deprecation notices for them. So show logs, log to a CDR, and we're going to say flag.deprecated and log instead log dir name. Oh, wait, visit all. Oh, these are not added. Yeah, I'm not going to duplicate that here. It's not the right place. We need to find where those flags are being added. Here. Server CMDs, not start CMDs. Oh, you have start CMDs and demo CMDs. Look at this, I was making a mistake. So configuration here needs to go here. And then I'm going to say f dot mark hidden, mark deprecated. Deprecated? Where's mark deprecated? Just like this. Okay. Like this. And like this. What am I doing wrong here? Missing comma. Yeah, was a plus sign is better. And then we have those server CMDs. And then we're going to have SQL. Why is it 2 times? Well, whatever. This one is log dir max size, log file max size. Oh, I have 2 different flags here. One is file and one is directory. Okay. And log file verbosity. All right. What else do I have here from logging? Seems like I'm good. Let's try it. Yeah. Don't ask me why there's name 2 times here. Historical reasons. Oh, look at this. There is Twitch spam. Let's get rid of it. I don't know how to do this. Can I edit a message into the Twitch stream? I don't know how to do this. Aha. I will take suggestions in Twitch about how to remove a message from the chat. I don't recall how to do this. Interesting. Cool. We'll see. Okay, so now we have our command line, and we see that the log flags have disappeared from the help text. And if I try to do something, then I will get some flag that tells me that, oh, log to CDR, maybe it's in a different place. Where is it? Where is it? It's here. It's overwritten in CLI.main. Like this. And this one, that is interesting. I will come back to log to str a bit later. Log dir like this. And now I get my message here. And my message probably needs to include a final comma, colon, sorry, period. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we have connected the parsing of the command line to the command line handling for CockroachDB. And we have renamed this package, and now we have in the start ctx log config, we have a log configuration. And so now we can start trying to plug things together. So what does it mean to plug things together? Now, the magic is happening is a file called flag.go in the log package. And that flag contains a function called setup_things. Set up redaction and logging channels. Look at this. Now, what it says should be called once after the command line flags have been parsed and before the first log entry is emitted, and this will configure the channels. The essence of this function is located in this piece of code here. So what this piece of code does, it says that for every channel that CockroachDB supports, or is configured to support, we are going to initialize this map here. Sorry, excuse me, not this one. To initialize this map here that associates a channel to the sink to which the channel should log. So today the configuration system is only able to associate one sync per channel. This is a limitation of the current implementation, but the actual design we are aiming for eventually wants to associate 0 or more syncs per channel. And so even though this map today associates exactly one sync, we are going to consider having more later. This doesn't matter at this time. We're going to make it work with just one, and then we can revisit later to add more. It doesn't matter yet. To connect things together and to get a proof of concept, we're happy with having exactly one sync per channel. But this initialization, what's doing here, it creates one sync with all the default logging options for this channel. And it does the same for all the channels. And then all the channels receive the same configuration. And that is not great. What we want instead is to have different configurations for each of them. And that is the purpose of that configuration struct that we have created a little bit before. And so we are going now to read that configuration specification, apply it to our channels here. And so instead of saying every channel gets a default config, then we're going to say take everything that's in the config and then apply it to this map here. And so this function we have here, we're going to give it a configuration. And it can be empty, meaning apply the default config. And that's where we are going to have a default config. And that one is going to associate all the channels to a logger that does files. And this is more or less what we have here. So we want the file to be not, maybe an audit log, we'll see. And whether it has an audit console is going to be overridden. Yeah, and then append the sec loggers. How does this work? Default config, configuration, config options, configuration test. We want to do something like this. Var default config is log config. People are going to tell me this stutters. Oh well. I think I can do this. And then I'm going to have a file sync config. And that is our default configuration. And now we can look at all the colors of this function and then ensure that they have some valid argument. I could find this out by just trying to compile the code and have the compiler tell me everything where it doesn't match. But I'm also not confident because that function might be called from test packages. We'll see. My language server is not happy. It's very slow. That's because the first time I do this, it has to load all the source code. Oh, look at this. It's been 1 hour. 1 hour. It is time for a stretch exercise. And for this purpose, we need to take a break. Programming is not an activity where you can go more than 1 hour doing nothing. So this is a moment where you can take a few seconds break and be healthy. I will be right back after I do my own stretching exercises. And we are back again. So it looks like my editor has refused to serve us with the list of function corresponding to this. And so I can just look at where it's being done. So we have this, this test here, a couple of tests in the log package itself, and the start function. So we can go there. Come on. This one. So this one doesn't want to use a default one. This one wants to use the one we just configured. Then we have the one in the pgware package. That is happy using a empty configuration, I think, or does it want to have the default? I don't know what it needs, and since I don't know, I will use the default. Ooh. Look at this. I have an import cycle and it's not a load. Why do I have an import cycle? Oh, because we're using the log.severity package. Sorry, the log.severity type. My life is difficult today. We forgot that we can't use the log config package from log if we have a log config using log. That Go doesn't allow cyclical dependencies. Okay, well, life is difficult, but it's not so difficult. What we can do is a log pb package. So throughout CockroachDB, every time we have protobuf types, it is customary to have them in a PB package. So we have that in multiple other places. And so we have a couple of protobufs in this package, and so we can move them. And there is in this file something that may, no, that's fine. So these types will be able to be in that package. And now we can then, in the configuration file, to log that channel names, so it's going to be log PB. Log PB. Come on, this way. There we go. Of course, the log PB thing doesn't yet know about its own status as a log PB package. So the Go package is log PB. I am not going to rename the protobuf package at this point. And the reason for this is that in the past we've had poor experiences renaming protobuf packages. So not planning to. And I need to modify our make file to support generating the protobuf from our oh, I might actually do it automatically. Ooh, that would be a luxury. Let's see. Yeah, log PB, log PB. Is that what I want? Log PB, log chen, log PB. gen.sh, yeah, why am I not doing? Better. Log. Much better. Okay. Much better. Okay, now we are talking. Config options is not using log dot, it needs to be log pb severity, and that will change the import path. Yes, we go. Yes, we go. And what do we need here? Log the channel. Log the channel. Is that all we need? Yes, that seems to be fine. Aha! And now we're talking. So what's going on here is that the severity and channel types are now defined in the log pb package. and we want to alias them because we don't want to change all the references to those two types in the rest of the code. Yeah. There is a way to in Emacs to automatically do something, and I'm going to say type like this. And how many do I have? I have at least 3. Like this. File details, file details, file details, file info, and might be enough. Oh my. Yeah. That is going to be interesting. Do I want... These are all constants. Yeah. Constants are great. Constants are great. I really like my my script here because the script is able to automatically generate code for me, and that is good. So I can say that channel something like this. I have to think about this a bit later, but I can do channel yes, I'll get there. And now I need to do the same with the severities. Where are the severity things? I must have a loop somewhere that does a loop over all the severities ahead of the code here. Yeah, except that I need to do it 2 times. Don't ask me why I copy-paste this code. It's okay. It's because my generator is not clever, and this is still, unfortunately, at the stage of proof of concept. And proof of concept means that we don't need to make codes small in generator code. So generator code is code that doesn't evolve very often. And so we are okay with code that is maybe not optimal because it's not happening often. I'm okay with that. That is okay. So context.context. Log channels, context is undefined. Why? It is here. Does it not import the file at the beginning? Maybe it doesn't. Oh. Much better. I can retype that. Thank you. this is good. This is much better. What happened to the colors? Can you clarify the question you are asking? What is it with the colors that you want to know about the colors? They're suddenly blue. Yes, I know they're not blue anymore. Who would you know? They change. Yes, they change. So this change, as you may have it, is a little innovation I've had from quite a while, and that is an ability to dynamically change the color theme a little at a periodic interval for the purpose of distinguishing in my mind the structure of the code from its visual representation. And the reason why this matters, actually I did not need to keep this, but the reason why this matters to me is because if I let myself use the same color theme all the time, I become less able to operate on someone else's code editor later on. So this way, I can focus on the structure and forget about the color. Turbo C++, yeah. Blue used to be a thing, and the reason why it was a thing is because back in the days, I'm old, but there was a terminal user interface toolkit that was provided. Well, it initially was created by Borland, and then it was stolen by Microsoft, as Microsoft used to do. And it became the default configuration for a lot of programs using that toolkit, unless they would customize it. The result is that you had a slew of applications for DOS that were using the same colors, more or less, just because that toolkit had that by default. And that's what we had. Yeah. Oops. Come on. Unknown. None. There we go. And now we can talk. Okay, so what's happening here, and probably what I'm going to spend my time with now, is exporting the API on the severity type, because now severity is a data type defined by a protobuf. And this package, for the longest time, was defining non-exported methods on that exported type, which is not exactly regular idiomatic Go. And so what we're seeing here is that the moment I wanted to export move the definition of that data type to its own package, which is actually something like common in CockroachDB. So what happens often in the code, you see some complex complex code that is written in one package, and then eventually it gets moved out to somewhere else. And every time it bites us the same way. We get this situation where the code is not ready to be moved out because it has private methods and public types. I think that this is telling me, oh, look at this, it's going to be beautiful. This is telling me more or less that we should learn to not do that in the future. That if we define a public type in a package, especially protobuf type, we don't add non-exported interfaces on top of it. That is a lesson that I'm learning again and again every time I do this type of refactoring, and that is not great. But we don't really have a linter that tells us this. Now here we have a fun and unfortunate situation. We have this method format on an entry, but the entry is in a different package, and it needs to use those functions from the log package, so that is not going to help. So I have no choice but to do this. Because otherwise it doesn't work. Okay, so what we just achieved is moving the data type in the log package to a sub package. And then it's going to say that, yeah, it doesn't work, format entry. Yeah. Cool. Success. About success. So what we achieved here is that the actually more than I had expected. The general situation. We started with a configuration system that was not exactly functional yet. And we turned it into something that is connected to the command line handling in CockroachDB. That was a goal we set for ourselves at the end of last session. So that's pretty great, that works. What we don't have is the actual effecting of the commenting of the configuration. Format entry into the insides of the logging package, meaning like say if I want a file to go to the directory with the new format of the configurations, this actually makes it go to the directory. Given I only have 5 minutes remaining on my stream, and I do have a follow-up meeting I need to attend, I'm not going to do like last time and smear the stream to be half an hour longer. So instead what I'm doing in the last few minutes is to sketch out the behavior I want for my configuration function here. So what I just successfully did is to add a parameter that says which configuration to effect. So the callers can use default config, but then whatever. So what we want here is a replacement for this logic here. So we have here a couple of options that say if the flag have been set, then do something, and then afterwards in the main part here, as I said, do the same thing for all the channels and so on, and we don't want that anymore. So what I want here is spell out for my next time what I want to be achieving, and what I want is the following. We are going to say for each directive, we are going to, for each channel selected, okay, so instantiate a logger with that directives config. And then for each channel in the directive, attach the logger to the channel. Now, attach, that means basically channels. But we also saw that currently, that's the temporary situation, each channel only supports at most one logger. So temporarily, we're going to say if there is already a logger for this channel, error out. And that error out we will remove later. And then at the end, we might have some channels which don't have a logger yet. Okay. Is there a channel without a logger yet? If yes, build a default logger, shared logger for each channel if there is a logger override applied. So logger override are loggers that have a special behavior predefined. So an example of this would be the audit channels. This is a configuration map that oh, come on, where is it? Audit channels, where is it? Yeah, it's a configuration that says that for some of the channels that are predefined, we want to have a particular behavior that may more or less apply a default configuration option. Another example of override is the file names for the channels. So if the file names have not been overridden by the user, then we use those. And so that's what we're going to apply. So is this logic going to be appropriate? Instantiate a logger with that directives config, shares directive, dash loggers directive. So there is something here that's happening here, and that is, what if the configuration is not complete? For example, it uses defaults. Do we want to override defaults? I haven't completely made up my mind with this. So here there is an investigation to be done. Are all things are the defaults for a given sync type always the same across all channels? So that is actually a question related to that notion of audit channels. So the audit flag says about the channels that the events are numbered, that they are written synchronously and so on, because we want them to be non-repudiable. But we don't want that flag to be set for all the channels by default. And so a question I could have is, if the user doesn't specify an audit behavior on a given sync, is that behavior to be enabled or disabled for that sync? And do we make the default a function of the channel? I believe that might be the case. I'm not exactly sure yet. So what is going to be done is probably first implement the simple thing, same config for all channels. And then we're going to try it out. And then depending on the user experience of it and the discussion on the RFC, which is out, tweak the behavior of the flag handling. And that will be probably the end of that story. And I hope you enjoyed. This was a cooler exercise than last Monday. I think we got more done, more diverse things done as well. And I really like that there is a plan at the end, so I will know what to prepare for next time. If you have any suggestions or any questions and so on, you can send them around. I will be glad to have them. And for any other feedback, I will take it as well. Thank you all. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your day.